Welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. We have a big week on the sideline with both soccer teams being in action this past weekend, but that's not all. We also have golf and rugby. We also will bring back a sideline classic from the past. So are you ready to head on down to the Pioneer Sideline? Welcome to the Pioneer Sideline. I'm your host, Kyle Anthony. The men's soccer team looks to rebound from a tough loss to Rio Grande last week. So to find out how they did this week, I'm joined by Alex Mardich, who will tell us how they did.
Thanks, Kyle. The men's soccer team was back in action last Tuesday as they faced off against Grove City. It was an even game from start to finish, with each team putting up 10 shots, despite the fact the Pioneers were without multiple starters who in recent games had picked up a few too many yellow cards. Foul trouble continued for the Pioneers as they drew 2 yellow cards in the second half. Unfortunately, the difference was made 62 minutes in as Grove City scored the lone goal of the game. The team now has 4 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw on the season. The team that started off the season red hot on offense but have since struggled, largely in part due to the loss of last year's star on offense, Lucas Silva. The Pioneers are now heading for the most difficult stretch of their schedule as they continue with KAIA play and will continue to look to end their 2-game losing streak against an undefeated West Virginia Tech team, which will most likely be their most difficult test they will have during the remainder of this season. West Virginia Tech is led by KIAC leading scorer Brazil native Francisco Neto, who is averaging 1.43 goals per game and has had multiple goals in 4 of the team's 7 games thus far this season. Supporting Neto is the KIAC leader in assists, a Liverpool, England native, Sam Lawton. The Pioneers will look to take advantage of extended rest and preparation time, as this will be their first game in 8 days versus WVU Tech, who will have had only 4 days to prep and rest for the game at Highmark on Wednesday.
Now, Alex, I have a question. How do you rebound from such a tough loss against Rio Grande? I know they weren't able to do it, but now how do you rebound from 2 tough losses?
Well, that's a tough question, but honestly, it's like every single other sport. You just got to take it day by day, practice by practice, and you have to have a short memory. It was a really tough loss against Rio Grande, but you got to keep on focusing on the next day and the next game, and just got to put that one behind you.
Now, what do they need to do late in games to increase their level of play?
Well, that's another tough question because there's only so much you can do at this point in the season. You would say have better conditioning, but it's kind of hard whenever the conditioning aspect of the team is mostly worked on during the preseason. So I'd say, maybe a little bit better team preparation and strategizing could possibly help them late in games, but I don't know. It's going to be a little bit tough to see how they work out the rest of the season.
Thanks, Alex. The women's soccer team is also coming off some tough games against high-ranked teams. So to see how they did, I'm joined by Cy Banks, who will give us the inside scoop on the team.
Thanks, Kyle. 1, 2, 3, goal! That is exactly what the Point Park women's soccer team did to Geneva College this past weekend, bringing the score to a shutout of 3-0. After that non-conference game, the girls' record is now 4-3-1, 1-0 in the KIAC. Point Park junior Simone made an unassisted goal by the corner kick, bringing the Pioneers to their first goal, showing Geneva that Point Park are here, so let's go! Setting the excitement for the fans, the girls kicked it up a notch and made 2 goals in under 20 minutes. Late in the second half, the dynamic duo Jasmine and Beth did it again. Beth had a sniper pass to Jasmine to be able to set her up to a perfect goal, turning that lead into a 2-0. Beth was not stopping there because she made another assist just 16 minutes after her first assist. Geneva's supposed defense was no match with these girls as they passed through their 4-3 defense. Their sophomore Audrey to make it a 3-0 and for Point Park. Senior goalkeeper Erica is now had 8 saves for the Pioneers that day A great competitor to has to those goalies, especially for Erica, because now she has held off 15 goals to the net so far this season. The girls are not done embarrassing teams on the field. Come Wednesday at 2, they will be playing a KIAC opponent, Brisha University, for their very first on-turf Highmark Stadium.
Now, sorry, how important is it for them to bounce back like tough games they had in the week before?
Yeah, Kyle, like I had said last week, you have to realize that they were playing in a NIAC conference. Basically, they were going against national teams. So they were going against the 15th, they were going against the 18th and the 8th, preparing them for the Kentucky interscholastic athletes, which the division that they are in for the conference, which they'll be playing Kentucky, which makes the team better, and that's why they're kicking it up a notch, and just giving that Geneva game pushed it a lot more.
Now, what was so different in the game against Geneva?
To be honest with you, Geneva was one of those teams that it's a teaser in that it can say, hey, you know what? We could beat them easily. But if you take yourself back and be like, oh, I'm just going to slack, that's where it messes up. And the girls have learned no matter who they are defending or who they're going against, they're going to be defending themselves and their pride and for the pride of Point Park. And they realize every game is a championship game, and that's how they proved it this past weekend.
Thanks, Cy. After the break, Phil Papour joins us to tell us about their weekend play, and Alex Martage comes back to let us know how the rugby team did in this week's action.
We are a social people. We share our inspiration, wisdom, creations, and memories. We share what makes us laugh and what angers us. Built on the notion of a free flow of ideas, our country thrives on the freedom of speech. Without it, who would watch over our governing powers? And how would we share our history to make a difference for the future? It's this freedom to share that gives us a reason to listen.
Start your morning with City News.
Start your morning with campus news.
Start your morning with political coverage.
Start your morning with fun.
Start your morning with us, only on Daybreak.
Did you know that Point Park has a cheerleading squad?
Don't stop. Don't get it confused.
Not only do our cheerleaders represent Point Park at regional and national competitions, but they also promote spirit and awareness of every sports team on campus. Come to any men's or women's varsity basketball game at home to watch the cheerleaders perform at halftime and cheer from the sidelines from the first jump ball to the final buzzer. Sports not your thing? You can catch the cheer team lead the crowd at the fall and spring pep rallies as well, or at several competitions around Pittsburgh each year. So what are you waiting for? Show the Point Park cheerleaders the support they show you.
We know you're wondering what the A-list celebrities are up to. Well, here at Entertainment on Point, we're wondering too.
Have you heard about James Franco and Seth Rogen's new movie?
No, but have you heard Beyonce's new single?
Did you see what she was wearing on that red carpet?
Honey, that was not cute.
Did you see what happened on Scandal this week?
No, I was too busy keeping up with the Kardashians.
No matter what your guilty pleasure is, we've got you covered. Entertainment on Point. Get to the point of pop culture. Yeah!
The Point Park golf team looks to heat up the course as the weather starts to cool down. So our reporter, Phil Papour, is going to start the round off right with a good drive on the team.
Thanks, Kyle. The Point Park women's golf team came into this weekend's Allegheny Invitational fresh off of a win at last week's St. Vincent Fall Invitational. This was the first win of the season for the Pioneers, so needless to say the team was looking to keep the ball rolling toward that KIAC championship. The Pioneers came out strong in the first round with a team score of 370. That score was 8 strokes better than its winning score of 378 at the St. Vincent Invite. Unfortunately for the Pioneers, they ran into a Goliath Gannon squad that shot a team score of 324. In the same round, which was good enough for 46 strokes, better than Point Park. Overall, the talent at the tournament was much stronger, as Point Park was in 6th place heading into round 2. The Pioneers kept the strong play going with a final round 365, and though Gannon shot 6 strokes worse on the final day, it was still good enough to win the tournament by a landslide victory by a whopping 53 strokes over second place Denison University. The Pioneers finished in 6th place out of 9 teams, with a final score of 735. The team was placed by the play of sophomore Elena Lancia, who finished in 10th place individually with a score of plus 28. Despite the disappointing finish, the team is shooting consistently lower scores and is putting itself in a great position moving forward. The team's next tournament is this October 3rd and 4th at the Fall KIAC Preview.
Now, Phil, how does your game change when the weather starts to get cold?
Kyle, it's all about preparation, to be honest with you. The thing with when it gets cold is the ball doesn't travel as far, so you really need to know the course, you need to know the layout, and you really have to prepare for just the elements. You want to make sure that you keep the hands warm, that you try and keep, just the game going. You want to be smart with what clubs you're going to choose. If you normally hit a 7-iron from 160 yards, you're going to want to go with a 6. It's really just about preparation and realizing that the ball does not go as far, so you want to try and make sure that you go an extra club length or anything like that.
Now, Phil, how does this incoming wet weather affect the course?
It just kind of trashes it. It just makes it really difficult to play golf. Like, you really have to be on your A game. You have to put the ball into the fairway. You have to avoid the rough, have to avoid the bunkers. It's just a matter of playing your best game. It just sogs everything down. It makes it harder to get the ball out. Like I said, you really want to make sure your impact is right at the base of the ball. You don't want to take too much of a divot, otherwise that'll take all of the power out of the swing. So it's really just a matter of hitting the fairways and hitting the greens and giving yourself the best opportunity to avoid the really bad conditions that take place in the rough and in the bunkers.
All right, Phil, let's talk about Jordan Spieth and what he's done.
This year has been absolutely incredible. One of the most fun years to watch since Tiger's prime. Jordan Spieth, he's 22 years old, and the things that he's doing this year were incredible. To start the year off by winning the Masters, and not just winning the Masters, dominating at age 21 at the time. He actually set the course record. He was the first player ever to reach minus 19 under. But then he settled for a win at 18 under by 3 strokes over Phil Mickelson, which tied the course record with Tiger Woods, one of the greatest golfers of all time, obviously. It's just been an unprecedented year, and it's just incredible to be a fan of golf at this point in time.
Now, Phil, you brought up Phil and you brought up Tiger. I see Jordan Spieth being that Tiger Woods around the same age as when they were competitive. Who do you see being the next Phil? I know personally, I see it maybe being Jason Day, who, like Phil, was a little more veteran when Tiger did hit his hot streak. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree. Jason Day's certainly up there. He made it to the world #1. He won the PGA championship. The thing is, it's really, like they said, the big argument is with the big 3. They're saying it's Jordan Spieth, Jason Day, and Rory McIlroy. And obviously, Rory McIlroy did not compete as well as he did last season, winning the majors. He kind of fell off, especially after that injury while he was playing a little football with his friends. But I think you can also throw in Ricky Fowler. He's not quite at the level the other 3 are because he doesn't have a major. But I think you can argue for the big 4. And I think that's what's really exciting about golf is there's so many young players. Like you said, there's Jason Day, Rory, Jordan, and Ricky. All are in their 20s. Jason, Ricky, and Rory are all 26, 27, 28, and Jordan's 22. So the future of golf is extremely bright, and moving forward, you're really going to have these 4 week to week really going at each other, being at the top of the leaderboards, and really fighting and playing some really good golf and pushing each other to the next level. And I really expect a lot more records to be broken. If Jordan Spieth had to go minus 18 this year to win the Masters, with all 4 of those guys playing at the next level, it might have to be minus 20, minus 21 to win the greatest golf tournament of all time.
Thanks, Phil. Next, we're going to go and head to the pitch with Alex Martich, who will take us into the scrum with the rugby team.
This past Friday, the Point Park rugby team took to the pitch in their second game of the season against Geneva at Founders Field in Harmarville. The team started the game hot, getting on the board first, leading 5-0, but throughout the game had trouble with penalties and had multiple scores called back. Unfortunately, in the second half, Geneva pulled away and the Pioneers lost the game 43-18. The team is now 1-2 after forfeiting a game against Franciscan due to a scheduling conflict. Early in the season, the team has looked for leadership in senior captains Jacob Como and Brady Winter. Unfortunately, only 5 minutes into the first game of the season against Fairmont, Brady suffered a broken wrist, which will keep him out for the entirety of the fall season. After this incident, Winter abdicated his captain position to fellow senior Colby Barrett, who has been one of the main forces on offense for the Bison in the beginning of the season. Barrett suffered a foot injury near the end of Friday's loss, but is expected to play through the pain as the Bison take on the best team in the division, the Robert Morris Colonials, on Friday. Last year, Robert Morris not only won the division, but were also ranked 5th nationally. This being said, similarly to the Point Park Pioneers, Robert Morris, were also plagued by injuries in their first game, but the Bison will have to be at the top of their game if they want to compete in this match.
Now, how banged up is the Pioneers team at this point in the season?
Well, they're pretty banged up, but that's just something that comes with rugby. It's very similar to football, but with no pads, and it's something that happens. I mean, obviously you have to deal with injuries in all sports, but it's very common in rugby, and so the team is just going to look to keep on chugging on, and it's honestly, they're in a very similar situation to many of the other teams in the division.
Now, how has the team improved its play from game 1 to now?
The team's starting to play more as a unit, and in addition has begun to work more on the mechanics, the basics in practice, and have also tried to work on moving the ball down the field and instead of going laterally, as that's the point of any game.
Thanks, Alex. When we return, Paul Daniels has information on what has gotten Jonathan Papelbon suspended for the rest of the year, and I will let you know if the Steelers were able to get their second win of the season and go above 500.
Here at the Pioneers Sideline, we get freshmen involved as quickly as possible so they get the real-world experience on air and behind the scenes to set themselves apart in internships and potential jobs. Blaine, where is that video? I needed it in Key Pro like yesterday.
All right, I got you, Chris. But I had a quick question for you guys.
What do you mean the questions? It's always a question. It's always a... What? Where is he? Blaine. 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 Freshman, you can't find any good ones anymore.
Ever wanted to be behind the mic and have the world listening to your show on campus? Well, it's just as simple as joining WPPJ, Point Park's student-run radio station, located on the second floor of Lawrence Hall, right next to the dining services. Listeners can tune in using Point Park's website or through the TuneIn app by searching WPPJ. WPPJ welcomes any new DJs that want to get involved, so be heard. Do you have what it takes?
Welcome back to the Sideline. I'm Paul Daniels with your National Sports Report. The team that had all the high hopes heading into the 2015 season and picked by many experts to win it all had some controversy in their own dugout this past weekend. The Washington Nationals had the team on paper to get the job done this year and possibly win a World Series. However, when they lost to the Philadelphia Phillies on Sunday, they were mathematically eliminated from the postseason. It was a tie game when Papelbon entered the ninth inning, but proceeded to give up 5 runs, including a go-ahead 2-run homer off the bat of Andres Blancos, and was booed on his exit from the mound. When Papelbon got back inside the dugout, words were exchanged between NL MVP frontrunner Bryce Harper, and this escalated into a mini brawl between the two teammates. After a disappointing season, the Nationals not only decided to bench Papelbon the remaining 7 games, but also removed his jersey from their own team store today. In other news over the weekend, the PGA Tour season has officially come to an end. The Tour Championship was held at East Lake Golf Course, where the top 30 ranked FedEx Cup players battled it out to determine who would win it all, the important FedEx Cup. Another storyline was who was going to be named PGA Tour Player of the Year. This came down to 2 possible players, the current Masters champion and U.S. Open champion Jordan Spieth, or the PGA champion and 4-time winner this year, Jason Day. Well, Spieth put all those questions to rest late Sunday afternoon when he went out and won the Tour Championship with a 9-under par finish in tough rainy conditions, defeating the entire field by a comfortable margin of 4 or more strokes. This solidified Spieth's first ever FedEx Cup, and he should now get voted in as PGA Tour Player of the Year. That's all for your National Sports Report this week. Now let's send it over to Kyle with your look at Pittsburgh sports from this past week. Kyle?
Thanks, Paul. In regional news, we'll start off on the diamond, where the Pittsburgh Pirates come into the final week of the regular season with a record of 95-62. The Pirates are just 4 games back of the lead in the NL Central Division and have a 4.5-game lead over the Chicago Cubs for the first wild card spot. The The Pirates had won 8 straight games going into the final game with the Cubs on Sunday, which they lost 4-0. Over the Pirates' win streak, they got big performances from Starling Marte and Pedro Alvarez. The Pirates' final 5 games are against division teams in the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds. The Pirates dropped the first game of the series against the Cardinals by a score of 3-0. The Pirates still have a chance coming into the last week of the games to win the division. Now to the gridiron, where the Pittsburgh Steelers came in this week's game at the St. Louis Rams looking to improve their record to 2-1. And they were able to do so. The Steelers got to keep players back on offense, and Le'Veon Bell, who returned from a 2-game suspension. The game got off to an odd start when the game was delayed almost 30 minutes due to a fire that happened when some of the fireworks that the Rams were using for their introduction sparked on field. So when the game kicked off, the Steelers came out fast with an opening drive of over 7 minutes, which led to a Josh Scobie field goal. And at halftime, the Steelers were up by a score of 9-3 after a Le'Veon Bell 1-yard touchdown run and a Rams field goal. There was no scoring in the third up until the fourth, where both teams kicked field goals and the Steelers won the game 12-6. But in the win versus the Rams, the Steelers suffered a major loss. They will be without quarterback Ben Roethlisberger for 4 to 6 weeks after he sprained his MCL. In the game after the Rams safety Mark Barron hit Big Ben in the leg, Michael Vick came into the game as the backup and completed 5 of his 6 passes for 38 yards. The Steelers' next game is Thursday night at home versus the 0-3 Baltimore Ravens. When we return, we bring back the courthouse case of the week, and we'll be talking about the MLB playoffs. Who do the analysts think will win the series? Find out after the break.
If you're having trouble with your schoolwork this semester, there's a helpful place on campus that you should know about. On the 7th floor of Lawrence Hall is the Program for Academic Success, which provides services like tutoring and academic counseling. The program's Writing Center is specifically designed to help you with your writing assignments, and you can even get help for them online. Students are encouraged to stop in the office, give a call, or send an email.
Every human being has a purpose, has a dream to have their voices heard, no matter where they come from, no matter where they go. As an American, it is their right to have freedom of speech. I have a dream that one day this message will speak louder than words, that even the quietest voice will not go unnoticed. That is my dream. What is yours? For more information, visit www.freedomofspeechpsa.org.
We're going old school for this debate. It's been a while, but we're bringing back the case of the week one more time. So we're going to talk about MLB playoffs. So I'm joined by Trevor Sheets, Phil Papour, and Blaine King, a bunch of Sideline veterans. So, guys, who's going to win the World Series? Trevor, you started off.
I have the matchup of the Toronto Blue Jays and Pittsburgh Pirates in the World Series, and the winner being the Toronto Blue Jays.
Wow, well, I am actually going to go with the current division leader in the NL Central, the St. Louis Cardinals, facing off against last year's World Series contender, the Kansas City Royals, and the Cardinals will take home the World Series.
And you know what? I'm going to go with the potential winners in the West with the Dodgers, and I am also going to go with the Kansas City Royals.
All right, Blaine, I gotta ask you a question. Why are you the only person to pick from the West here? Everyone else went NL Central. Why do you believe in the Dodgers?
The Dodgers, they eventually have to win, and I actually think this year is the year that they get over the hump and make it to the World Series. Now, I do have them losing to the Royals in the World Series, but I do believe that they have the power to actually finally make a push. Last year, defense was their issue, but I think this year the bats can actually come alive. I think their pitching is adequate enough to get them past the NLDS. And
I was going to say,
Trevor, please jump on this.
You can't describe pitching as adequate and say they're going to make it to the World Series.
Not
you
if
have
your
to have
bats are on fire.
dominant- Just have dominant pitching. Ask Madison Bumgarner last year. Dominant pitching wins.
Wait, isn't Clayton Kershaw's playoff ERA like 6?
Yeah, but hey.
You know how hard it is to score 6 runs in the playoffs, and then just actually any time in baseball?
But this year's a new year.
It's not even Kershaw in the playoffs, though. It's just the fact that they do have Kershaw and they have Greinke, but who do they have other than that? You need more than 2 pitchers to win a World Series. Bumgarner played well, but...
All right, now to you, Trevor. You're the only guy that picked Toronto here. You're the only one that believes in the big bats.
Yes.
Why do you believe in the big bats?
Because they've been outscoring teams the entire season. They have that one ace that can get them through at least 1 or 2 games in David Price.
One ace.
That'll get them at least through a couple of games. With David Price, that's 2 wins right there with him. And I think R.A. Dickey can surprise someone in a game.
Mark Burley.
This is not 2007. This is not the this is not the late 2000s.
Hey,
we're in 2015.
We've seen it before. The seasoned vet can't help them.
Hey.
All right, what do you think is going to be the difference maker for your teams, though?
I think it's going to be the fact that Wainwright is coming back and he's going to be in the bullpen. The last time that he came in the postseason and pitched out of the bullpen, they won the World Series.
They had a better starting pitching group at that point. They don't have Martinez. They don't have Wainwright. They have Lackey. And Lackey, I mean, granted, he's been good in previous playoffs, but I don't know if he has what it takes anymore. They have Walker. That's about it when it comes to the Cards.
Yeah, and Walker back 2 years ago, he was kind of just a surprise because nobody knew what he was going to bring. St. Louis is good, but they're not that good to make it to the World Series.
But they're also a team that every year they somehow find a way to make it through with the players they have, and they still have the great offense. They have the Matt Adams. They have the Matt Carpenter, the Matt Holliday. They have the players that they really can
but they don't have
do a
Yachty.
deep run.
They don't have
They said Yachty's going to be back for the playoffs. They said Yachty's thumb's going to be okay for the playoffs.
But
and
that's
that is
bad.
a different.
His thumb, I mean, that's going to cause
what Yachty
issues.
does on defense, though.
Yachty's
defense single-handedly shuts down any
He
thought of the
just
run
makes the pitchers better. Having him as the backstop really does make the pitching staff better.
All right.
And not even that, it's just the fact that I lost my train of thought, but the Cardinals are going to win the World Series.
All right. I'll make my little interjection here. I'm kind of digging the Cardinals because, actually, for the reason that Trevor brought up, I'm a big John Lackey fan in the playoffs. Because John Lackey, I think, career's only lost 2 or 3 playoff games, and he has a really good ERA. And it's the Blue Jays. I mean, I kind of believe in. But Kansas City's that team I really want to believe in because I picked Kansas City before.
They're on a mission from last year, too.
But they
are really on a mission.
They have not been consistent the last couple of weeks, so they have not. You want a team hitting their stride as they go into the postseason, not someone who's stumbling right before the gate.
All right. I think it's everyone make your final case. Make it strong, make it hard, make it old school, man.
All right. Joey Bats. Right there. Big power hitters. Zach Donaldson at third base. They have the hitters. They have a pitcher, an ace in David Price, that will put the Blue Jays over the top and bring them a World Series.
Michael Wacha, he's going to come out. He's going to pitch well. Yadier Molina is going to come back, and he's going to be a great backstop. He's going to get extra rest from them winning the division. They have the offensive talent, and overall they just have the senior leadership. They have the guys that have been there consistently, and they've won the World Series, last 3 out of 6 years?
All right, Blaine, for your final thought.
I'm going with Kansas City. They're on a mission. They know what they have to do. Small ball. They're just going to, I think they have the power this year. I think they can run through whoever else is in the AL.
All right, I'm going to bring in Alex. Alex, I think you have something to bring to me?
I do.
All right, I have a championship belt here because we're going to declare a winner. Has everyone heard the Drake song Back to Back? You know what the cover was? It was Joe Carter hitting that home run, T-Sheets.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. T-Sheets, you got the win. I believe in the bats. All right, that does it here from the sideline.
Wow.
Join us
Unbelievable.
On the same at the same Pioneer time, at the same Pioneer place, and of course, the same Pioneer sideline.